what the heck's going on there? Why can't I talk right? Hey everyone, Chuck here from Brand New Vegan. I am making a different kind of video today, only because so many of you have wrote in and asked for a video. You've asked where I've been, you've asked about Instagram, you've asked, Chuck, why have you disappeared? So I hope to address that today and kind of fill you in on what's been happening here in the Brand New Vegan world. So we have to go back a few months before COVID-19, before the lockdown. It was February 24th of this year, and I woke up feeling not very good. Funny. It was, I knew I was sick. I knew something was different. It's something I've never felt before. It wasn't a cold. And like I said, this was before the virus. So it was just off. And I kind of blew it off. And I talked to my wife about it a little bit later and noticed that my speech started to slur a little bit. And she was immediately concerned. And I thought, what the heck's going on there? Why can't I talk right? Yes, I know the symptoms of a stroke. I did not have the facial drooping. I didn't have any side of my face going left or right or down or anything like that. My arms were perfectly steady. I had no muscle weakness. So I thought something else. And I blew it off. Not the smartest thing in the world, but that's what I did. So the next day, it had not gone away. It was worse. And I knew something was wrong. So my wife was gone to her exercise session, and when she came home, I grabbed her and said, you better take me to the doctor. I better check this out. And we went to see the family doc, who was busy, booked, and a nurse took my symptoms and went back to consult with him. And she came back and she said immediately, get to the ER now. So off to the ER I went. I will say, for 57 years old, first time ever to go to the emergency room. First time ever to go to the hospital. First time ever to spend the night in a hospital. And that's what happened. They rushed me in. Got bombarded by a team of nurses and doctors asking me to squeeze fingers, say my name, say my birth date, all that kind of stuff. And got me into an ER bed, got me into the funny old gown, started running their tests, CAT scans, MRIs, you name it. And as it turns out, I did indeed have a stroke. Surprise, I was. And it was a small one. They called it an acute ischemic stroke. So it's not the hemorrhaging kind, not the bleeding kind. It was the clot kind. So shocked, yes, I was, and mad. I was really angry because I'm brand new vegan. I've been eating healthy for the last 7 years at least, plant-based diet. How can I have a stroke? And demanded every doctor I talked to answer that question for me. And it was funny because actually, I tell people I don't eat meat, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat cholesterol, I eat plants. And I had two different nurses come up to me and say, well, Chuck, plants have cholesterol. No, they don't. These are nurses. So anyway, I'm not sure what I was feeling at that point. Very frustrated. I had a feeling they didn't know much more about what to do with me than I did myself. So I was ready to go. They made me spend the night, and I had some more tests. They checked my carotids, they checked echocardiogram, they checked all kinds of stuff. Every single test they ran was negative, except for the MRI. And I'll show some pictures here in the video. I'll switch over some pictures so you can see. The MRI showed the spot for the stroke. So after that, they had me spend the night. I finally got to eat. And yes, hospital food is as bad as I heard it was, if not worse. But I finally got a chance to eat something. I forget what it was. It was like a hummus and veggie dip or something. And then the other plate they brought out for my wife was a veggie burger. And that was greasy, full of oil, french fries or potato chips. I forget which one. It was ridiculous. But I spent the night and I felt fine. Other than the only effect I had from this whole thing, the only way it affected me at all was my speech. It was pretty impaired. I got a video in here somewhere I took afterwards. We went to the beach when I finally got home and just healed, rested for a few days. And I took some video there. And now if I can find it, I'll put a clip in here. Hey everybody, Chuck here, brand new vegan. I'm here at the beach. I have some news for you. It's not easy news, but it needs to be said. You may notice a slight speech impediment. That is because 6 days ago, on February 24th, I had a stroke. This speech was ridiculously impaired. I sounded pretty bad. But anyway, that's the only effect I had. It was the speech. And I have no answers why. I demanded the doctors tell me, why did this happen to a vegan who eats plant-based? Whole food, plant-based, no oil, and I had a stroke. Why? And finally, one doctor came up to me, and turns out he was a vegetarian, real nice guy. And he said, you know, you're looking at this the wrong way. That you shouldn't be asking yourself why you had a stroke as a vegan. You should be thanking yourself that you were vegan, because if you had had this stroke eating standard American diet, cheeseburgers, steaks, pork chops, that kind of stuff, this would have been a whole lot worse. He said basically your diet saved your life. And so that was a very unique perspective. Again, that's the why it happened in the first place. I may never know. A lot of people wrote in now that COVID is here and we've been locked down for the last several months. Of course, this was great. Right after the stroke, this COVID thing happened. I'm like, wow, what next? But anyway, they asked me, I guess some of the symptoms of younger people with COVID is they're having clot strokes. And they said, could you have had COVID? I don't know. Maybe. I didn't have any other symptoms. I've felt fine ever since. So, could be. Who knows? Like I said, I may never know why I had it. I kind of blame it on, like I said, I'm 57 years old. I've been eating this way at least 7 years. Before that, I was all standard American diet. I was cheeseburgers, fries. I was a cheeseburger connoisseur. Bacon cheeseburgers, chili cheeseburgers, green chili cheeseburgers, French fries, a lot of beer, some fried chicken, a lot of pizza. You know, standard American fare. I ate it. Every possible bad food you can think of, I probably ate a ton of it. Pop-Tarts, Cheese Whiz, chips, dips, processed food, microwave food, everything. Didn't know any better. So maybe this was 50 years of catching up and it finally caught up to me. Who knows? Also, during that 50 years, I was a smoker. I smoked about a pack and a half, 2 packs a day. I've quit since, but I'm sure that didn't help. Stress, that was the huge part of it. I've always had stress. Financial stress. I lost my business in 2008. Had to go back to work. Worked night shift my entire life, and graveyard shift has its own set of stress. Who knows? It could have been all those things, or it could have been everything combined. I don't know. At the time, I was checked into the hospital. They did check my blood pressure, and it was ridiculously high. Of course, I was mad. I was scared. It was like 175 over 100 and something. If I have a picture, I'll post it. And my cholesterol was high, borderline high, in their standards. It was like 202 total, and my LDL was 129. Again, I demanded to know why. I don't eat meat. I don't eat cholesterol. I don't eat animals. I don't eat dairy, cheese, anything like that. Why is my cholesterol 129? And of course, they can't answer that. So I left the next day and came home with a lot more questions than I had answers. What they did do for me at the hospital was send me home with a fistful of pills. I had blood pressure medicine. I had baby aspirin. I had Lipitor for my cholesterol, great. And I had Plavix, which is a antiplatelet. It's like a blood thinner. And you pair that up with baby aspirin, which is a blood thinner, and you can have some nasty side effects. So I had some bruising, all kinds of things. I hate pills. I don't take pills normally. So I was not happy about this either. And then COVID hit, and we were all in lockdown. So I never did get to go back for my 30-day follow-up. But I guess I should say the very first thing that happened when I got home with all these questions and determination immediately to get off of all of these pills is I called the one person I could think of who I knew would help. I called two people, I called Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn first, wrote him an email, and he did call me back. And he said, "You're in Portland, right? You need to go see Craig McDougall," because Craig lives here in Portland. And I know Craig. He was my doctor a while back before he left Kaiser. So I thought, great, I'll go see Craig. How do I reach him? Oh, I know his dad, Dr. John McDougall. So I emailed Dr. John, and I said, "Hey, Doc, how can I get in and see your son Craig? I just had a stroke, blah, blah, blah." And the first thing he said to me was, "You need to come to Santa Rosa now. Come to the next 10-day McDougall live-in, and we'll fix you up. And I will be there, and if I have to, I'll get involved myself." And I thought, wow, that's awesome. So I spent the money. I had the tickets. I had a plane ticket. I had rent a car. I had it all set up to go. And then COVID hit. So it was canceled. First time ever. No McDougall 10-day. And I got my money back. But I thought, wow, now what do I do? So I did what I knew they were going to do for me there at the center, at Santa Rosa. I started eating a very, very clean diet. I started exercising. And I started trying to not let stress be a big part of this. I knew that's what the three things they would concentrate on at the live-in center. So I cleaned up my diet. I took out anything remotely questionable as far as high-fat food. So tofu was gone. Definitely nuts and seeds. No peanut butter at all. No beer. No alcohol. What else did I cut out? Of course, that was no oil to begin with. But like tahini, anything that's got avocado, anything that's got a high-fat content, I cut it out. And so in 30 days, the result of that, I dropped from my weight of 206, which was in the hospital, to 188. So however many pounds that is, 15 or so. And my blood pressure has normalized. I am no longer taking blood pressure medicine. In fact, as of today, I no longer take any meds. No Lipitor, no Plavix, no baby aspirin, no nothing. So all of that happened in 30 days after the hospital and during COVID. It works. A good clean diet and exercise works wonders. That's all I can tell you. So ever since then, that's what I've been up to. I've been putting out new recipes. They're cleaner than they used to be. You won't see that many recipes with cashew sauce or avocado or anything like that anymore. I've committed to eating a really strict starch-based diet. So most of my food's coming from starches, as Dr. McDougall recommends. A lot of vegetables, a lot of greens, and that's what I've been doing. I've been walking every day. Like I said, I've lost a ton of weight. My blood pressure, I checked it yesterday, it was like 122/75. That's why I've cleaned up my diet. That's where I am now. I'm perfectly fine now. I'm healthy. You cannot tell anything happened. And it was exactly 11 weeks ago today that I had a stroke. Hope I answered your question. So I am going to try to put more food videos, get started on that again. Please be patient, and thank you for all who have showed your concern and asked about me. I'm fine. I'm good. No problem. I had a stroke. Big deal. I'm healthy because of the way we eat. So don't let anybody tell you food's not important. It's very important.